Okay, thank you guys so much for joining. Welcome to What's the 411. Today is June 12th already. The time is just literally flying by. I don't know about you guys, but I have definitely been enjoying the weather. I mean, today was a little bit rainy, but we need it, right? We need it to help nature and all that good stuff. And so we're excited about the summer coming up. We're excited about the weather, but I'm also excited to have a special guest on, Alexis Lee, with me today. So I would like to introduce her, or she can introduce herself. Let us know all of the great things that you're out here doing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Lee. I am a published author and speaker, and I tell my experience, my testimony about surviving a traumatic brain injury from a car accident that happened in 2017. So, this is what I do now. I love encouraging people, I love inspiring people, and I think it is such an important part of life, especially with what's going on right now. A lot of people are experiencing gloom and depression. So I think it's good to have like a positive story, a positive approach of triumph over trauma.
Triumph over trauma. And she's just
Yes.
very, she's going to dig into the story because it's very, very transformative. So tell us, what does that mean to you, triumph over trauma?
Life happens. Life happens. That's what that means to me. And traumatic experiences happen to everyone and anyone. My grandma used to have a saying, time and chance happens to all. And so it doesn't matter what type of trauma you've experienced, you can triumph over it in some way, shape, or form. You can rebuild, you can have your life restored. You just have to go through the process, be committed to it, and find out, well, what am I supposed to learn in this through this whole thing? What's the lesson here? And then once you learn that, you have more of an idea of where you're going.
Definitely, for sure. So talk to us about your journey. You mentioned you got into an accident in 2017, but take us to prior to the accident. Who was Alexis? What were you up to? What were you doing? And then bring us through what led you to where you are today.
Okay, so background story, and all of this is relevant to what happened after. So I grew up in church, old school Caribbean, like women don't wear jewelry, you don't wear pants. My grandma believed like you don't cut your nails on Sunday. And it was like wrong. So my whole life, that's what I knew. And as in terms of my career, I was in the criminal justice field and worked with survivors of domestic abuse for a total of approximately 13 years. And then months before the accident, I started my business as a personal stylist. So I had a lot going on. I was a very busy bee. And so do you want me to get into how everything happened now?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Give us the full scoop.
All right.
Full
So I
scoop.
was in court and my lunch was delayed. And I remember, listen, if anyone knows, there's a place where they make these juicy, juicy burgers, and it's called, is it the Hero Burger? I think it's like the most amazing burger place ever. And I love food. Don't let the size fool you. I will get down in that. Anyhow, so the Works, sorry, that's what it was, the Works burger. So I'm on my way to my car, getting ready for my burger, and I felt this feeling, right? Folks would call it your intuition. And then Christians would say your spirit, right? The Holy Spirit. Put your phone in the bag and change your CD from the one you were playing. So I was playing Ray Charles and Kenny Rogers, Country Road, Take Me Home. And so I said, oh, okay, took the CD out, put it on the Christian station, put the phone in my bag. Less than, I don't even think it was 5 minutes. There's paramedics holding my neck. There's smoke. Like there's this loud ringing in my ear, and they're asking me, can you feel your legs? What the heck is happening here? So
Oh
I
my
get to the
gosh.
hospital. They did no head scan. I had second-degree burns, so you can kind of see here, it's kind of shaded. All of this was white. They x-rayed my hands and set me up. My brother picked me up and took me to the car pound. My car looked like a s'more, like a marshmallow, like windshield busted. So I think it was like 2 days later, the room starts going black and I feel like I'm going to pass out. So my brother's fiance takes me to the urgent care center and they're like, oh, it's just a little bit of concussion. You'll be okay. Just, take the weekend off of work. You'll be back to work next week. Cool. Next week comes, I'm talking to my mom in her living room. Hi, I can't move my toes. Like, you see how you're frozen and looking? My toes were like, couldn't move them. So they took me to the hospital. They did tests and everything. They couldn't find what was wrong. So my one side just started going limp and my leg was dragging. And as time went on, my speech would be slurring and people are talking to me and I'm not understanding what is happening. Numbers and words were making no sense. And every time I went to the doctor, it was, they couldn't finalize what it was. And I ended up, I'm a university graduate. I went to college and university. And I ended up at a grade 3 math level. Yeah. And so my first appointment with the neurologist was canceled 2 times. And if anyone knows the medical system, you're already waiting a long time for an appointment. So tests upon tests, and things just get worse and worse. Like my health is just declining. And the insurance companies and the doctors are telling me, you're doing all of this on purpose. You just want insurance money. Yeah. I ended up in the hospital and they told my family I lost my mind. Pause. For those who are from the West Indies, the Caribbean, you don't ever. So imagine
You're written off now. You're written off.
Imagine what's going on. I've never heard of a brain injury. I've never heard, because I don't know what these things are. I just know I'm not understanding. I know I'm struggling to read and comprehend. And you're going to tell my family, my Jamaican family, I lost my mind? So there's shame, there's disgrace, there's losing your independence. And I went through a serious depression because my independence was gone. Friends left. It was just, you name it, it left. My whole life turned upside down. And I didn't want to live anymore. Number 2, you don't ever use depression amongst West Indian people. And you don't ever talk about you want to die. And I gave up. And this is the thing, I want to encourage people, and I'm sure we'll touch back on this. Look at what people are doing and saying. Sometimes the flags are right there and we just miss it. I gave away my Louis Vuitton. When? You're allowed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If I had given away my Kmart bag, you'd have been like, oh yeah, it was a nice little gesture. No one caught on. And every time I went to take a nap, I would tell God, don't wake me up anymore. I'm done. And he kept waking me up. And I kept getting angry. And I wanted nothing to do with faith anymore because I took everything as the God I grew up knowing, the fire and brimstone, is done with me. So what's the point in living? I can't help myself. What's the point? Well, I remembered because at one point I was in bed because the leg would just not move. And I remembered laying down on the bed, and a conversation I had with a lady at work from years ago came back to me, where she was like, I don't know about the Jesus you're talking about, but my Jesus is compassionate. And so I laid on that bed. I said, okay, compassionate Jesus, help me. I was angry. And I said, if you're compassionate, help me walk. From then, little by little, my PSW helped me to just step by step.
I was told I'd never wear heels again. I said, you must be out of your mind with that. I cried because I flew all the way to Paris for one pair of shoes. You're going to tell me I can't wear it again? I'm 5 foot tall. What are you telling me? I need heels. So I brought them to physiotherapy. We're doing this. So I truly believe this was like a miracle for me. I end up in the office of the sports neurosurgeon for the Raptors, the Leafs, and the Blue Jays. And he sends me to do a head scan, and there's only 2 of these machines in the entire province. And remember, the accident's 2017. Early 2019, they get the report, I have a traumatic brain injury. So for this whole time, I'm struggling with people telling me, you're doing this on purpose. Nothing is wrong with you. And then finally, here it is on paper. So how the book came about is people, just people around me were like, Lex, you need to write about this. And I'm thinking, shut up. Don't tell me about reading and writing, because I'm already struggling with that. And I was embarrassed about everything that happened. And I'm thinking, I don't want people knowing my business. And so my PSW would help me with because when you have a TBI, sound and light you can be very sensitive to them. So I couldn't go into church. So I'd ask her to help me to watch some of it on TV. And anyone she put it on, the speaker was like, somebody's supposed to write a book, book. Again, I'm frustrated. So I sat down at my desk one day and I was like, okay, Lord, if I'm supposed to write this book, you need to help me because I don't see how this is going to work. Well, here we go. I was published November 2021. That's November. By I think it was April or May, I was on TV on the 700 Club. I'm doing different interviews. I'm here speaking on Miss Ellie's wonderful show. I'm busy. That to say, if you step out on faith and give God your yes, he'll fill in the blanks for you.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So, but bring us back to the accident though. Like, what actually happened?
I don't know the full story. They charged me. I ended up in the back of a woman's car, or truck, should say, or SUV, is a big vehicle. And they charged me. Woman who works in the courthouse. I have to go up here in front of the people. And then the person that I hired to represent me is like, oh yeah, just say this and this. I said, you want me to put my hand on the Bible for what? Yeah, I took the L. I did. I didn't say anything at all. They charged me. That's fine. My conscience was clean going to bed. I'm not telling a lie for not $1. That's it.
Oh my goodness. So you still don't know. It's like a mystery what happened. Wow. So talk to us about a TBI, because a lot of people don't know what that is and like how it affects you.
So it stands for traumatic brain injury. And what it is, it's caused by a jolt or a bump or a blow to your head where if anyone's watched Concussion, it's where your brain has an impact to your skull. And it affects, depending on the area, right? So for me, it was concentration, memory, light and sound sensitivity, processing information, a whole motor skills. It can vary. It can vary. It just depends on the part of your brain that was affected. And the sad thing is, it doesn't always show with an MRI or a CT scan. The scan I had was called SPECT, SPECT. Yeah.
Wow. And then so now that you are a TBI survivor, how does that help you? Who do you speak to? Who is your target audience?
Everybody. And certainly people within, I would say, like the Black West Indian Caribbean community. because there are a lot of things that I experienced that I wasn't free. I didn't feel comfortable talking about because we don't bring these issues. I think recently we have been talking about depression. We have been talking about anxiety. We have been talking about suicidal ideation, things like that. But you need to know this stuff happens. We're not doing, you live in foreign, you have nothing to worry about. We're not doing that anymore. So I need to bring the awareness that this is a real situation. It is an invisible injury, and you don't know what someone is suffering with. I have close relatives to this day who care nothing about my sensitivities. Whenever I'm around, they'll want to blast music. I'll be like, can you turn it down? No. Yeah. So even though it's been like what, this year is 6 years, there's still no compassion. So I want to spread awareness, to have compassion, right? To have an understanding and to support people. And even if you aren't a survivor, but you're a supporter, a family, a friend, what can you do to make the person with the experience feel safe? Safety is huge, because once your sensitivities are triggered, you could be in bed for days, and it is a huge setback.
Wow.
Mhm.
My gosh. Well, you need to big up yourself because you definitely you met the compassionate Jesus,
Yeah.
and he helped you walk again, not only just walk in running shoes or slippers,
Listen to
but
me.
I seen you with your heels on, girl. So
Yes.
but also just that, not forsaking him,
Yeah.
still leaning on him, because you know how easy it is sometimes to turn your face away from him.
Yes. Yes. And that's when, like, I feel like that's the worst thing you can do, but it's so tempting. It is so tempting because what I have learned, he doesn't move when we want him to move. And when he says soon, boy, just have a seat, relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do the work. I do therapy for trauma. And another thing, if I can say, stick a pin where you were, please, let's deal with childhood trauma. Because I realized a lot of what I held on to in terms of overachieving, overworking myself, was because of a childhood trauma. I didn't grow up with my birth parents. So I had no idea that naturally I would be overworking because I wanted to feel like I fit in somewhere. So I want to encourage people. There is no taboo in finding a good therapist. Get these things out of your system, and it is so freeing. It is so freeing. I encourage you, find a good therapist, do it, because it is needed. And that to say, when I rebuilt my relationship with Christ, all of these things were being revealed. It's his will that we are well. We live in a fallen world. I don't want anybody to think once you follow Christ, it is roses and tulips. It is warfare. But it is his will that we are well and that we prosper, even as our soul prospers. It's not his will for us to be bitter, angry, resentful, full of unforgiveness. No, no. And I feel so free now. I didn't know how angry I was, as much as I love to laugh. Listen, I was angry. I'm going to talk the truth. But when you realize, oh, ugh, that's ugly. I don't want that anymore. You healed from it. Oh my gosh. And it's so freeing.
Yes, you have that freeing spirit. You're embodying that for sure, 100%, 100%. But talk to us about your story. Like, how did you end up writing the book? How did
Okay.
it all come about? Yeah.
I sat down and just thought about the main areas that were affected. So it's a very short read, it's not long. One, because I couldn't write that much. And two, I wanted to be mindful of other TBI survivors because reading can be very difficult. So I talk about, what it's like to have this great life, to lose it, what it's like to lose your independence. Um, I even thought to myself, I should, OSAP should pay me back because that's one of the chapter titles. Refund my OSAP, please. What it's like to be isolated. Family gatherings. I have to be in a dark room by myself because I can't have too much stimulation. What it's like to lose friends. What it's like to be in a relationship and have the fear that this person is going to up and leave you because you're not the same person that they met before. And then what it's like to rebuild your life with Christ and to just feel like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this ride as best as I can.
Very powerful, very powerful. And so where can we pick up your literature?
You can find Beauty for Ashes, Memoir of a Traumatic Brain Injury Survivor on Amazon or other major platforms. And there's also an audiobook version as well for those who struggle with reading and comprehension. See, I have to make everybody feel like they can be a part of the journey.
For sure. So you not only you've written this book, you've overcame, you are doing the thing, but now you've decided to go out there, share your story with others, and help others support them through their trauma. So talk to us a bit about your speaking engagements and stuff.
So I, number one, I point out life happens to anyone and everyone. And I want people to know that just because something traumatic happened to you, it doesn't, and sometimes it's for you. Sometimes we say, oh, this happened to me. Sometimes it's for you. And that doesn't mean it's the end. Sometimes you have to sit there in the ashes so you can see what the blueprint is for your life. Because we can go on and think, this is what I'm going to do by the age of 25, and then I'm going to have this big house. Sometimes that's not God's plan for us. And so in my speaking, I encourage people to be compassionate. I encourage people to be kind to themselves. When my doctor first said that to me, I was like, what kind of foolishness are you telling me? Be kind to myself. But now I know what that means. Rest is okay. It is okay to not have to be busy every day. Be kind to yourself. Sometimes we're not eating proper meals. Be kind to yourself. What are you feeding your mind? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? Who are you around? Be kind. If you're tired, it's okay to rest. So just sharing to survivors and supporters that we all need compassion, we all need understanding. And what grace would you want to receive if you were in this position? And if you're in the position, allow yourself to receive grace. And do not bottle up if you feel alone. Don't bottle it up if you feel like the sadness is too much. Don't bottle it up if you feel like you don't want to live anymore. Say something because you're releasing it. And if someone is saying that to you, please don't shame them. And number two, please don't carry it and gossip about it. This is sensitive information. Find a way to uplift that person. All of that.
Yes. So you mentioned allowing yourself to receive grace, not only just giving others grace, because I feel like sometimes it's easy to give others grace, but it's hard to receive the grace. So how do you do that? Like, what are some keys to receiving grace?
I've learned, and this is from my own personal experience, because I was so used to doing everything on my own. And so when people want to help me, I'm thinking, I don't want you to feel like I'm some pitiful, even though that's how I felt inside. But you have this wall, this pride. So if someone is offering kind and wise advice, because not everything is wise, if someone is offering kind and wise advice, sit and think about it. Does this fit? How could I apply this? If someone is saying, hey, I'll do your laundry for you, allow someone to help you. And that's something I had to learn. So if you feel uncomfortable receiving kindness and you find yourself pausing, maybe you should think, is this pride? And open yourself to receive that. That help, not pride.
Very true, very true. And so, of course, you mentioned like in our community, there's so many struggles that we deal with a lot. But what are some of the ways that we can help? I know some people are stuck in their ways and are not going to want to change, and that's fine. But there are others who are willing to try to decide to, make that change. So what are some of the keys that we can use to help us along that journey?
So one thing I've experienced is if I'm calling you to say, hey, I just need someone to talk to, it's not the best time for you to tell me about your gas pay and how this is going on. Listen, just listen. Right? I've had someone, I'm sharing my story and he started talking about the time he broke his leg. Sometimes there's a time to just listen. Sometimes we need to let things out and just say, I don't have the capacity right now if you can't. If you are not in a position, because sometimes I'm still dealing with things and people are coming to me and I have to be strong enough to say, hey, can I talk to you about this another time? So my first thing would be to listen, just listen. And don't turn it into gossip. Don't turn it into what your problem is. Just listen.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then, so how can we as a community do better to help support one another? Because there's a lot of people that are dealing with so many different things. Like, how do we support each other properly?
Can you hear me? Because my earpiece just fell out. Hold on, because you're muted now.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I could hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So what can we do? Like, are there any tips that you would give that we can do? I think I already asked you that question. What are some of the initiatives that you have coming out that we can check out? Because I know that you were just at, you're doing a whole bunch right now.
Yeah.
You're out here, right? So talk about your initiatives and talk about what you have coming up.
So I will be at the Durham Caribbean Festival. The last weekend of this month. That should be exciting. It is going to be just amazing with a whole bunch of vendors. So you can come out, check me out there. And I'm going to be taking just a little bit of time off in July. I have to pace myself because I've been doing so much since June started. And that's very important for rest and recovery. So I would right now, it's the Durham Caribbean Festival.
Nice. And so when is that, the festival?
That is the 25th of this month.
June 25th?
Yeah. Let me just.
So you're going to be like a vendor or a speaker?
Yes, a vendor.
Vendor?
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, vendor. I believe it's in
Okay.
you guys.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then, sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going
It's
to
the
say
25th?
that's what I have planned.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so talk to us about your why. Why are you out here doing what you're doing? And why do you wake up every day and continue to strive to do this?
So it's the 24th is the festival. Sorry.
All right.
My why is people need to know there's hope. That's my why. People need to know there's hope. My why is I'm not wasting my experience. I am not sitting on my testimony. My why is I am thankful. My days, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm absolutely not where I was. My why is I am grateful and thankful and blessed beyond measure to be even talking and you can understand me. That's my why.
Yeah. So what keeps you motivated and inspired?
My faith. And just, there's so much, I don't watch the news, but when you hear people talking about all the negativity and all of the bitterness, it just makes you want to say, hey, hoy, there's bright things to talk about. You don't have to stay in that down, right? If you're in the hospital, the heart monitor goes like this. If it's like this, you're in trouble. Right? So if you're at this point, there can be a this point.
There
And
will be.
there you go. There will be. So I believe people need to know that. And people need to see that there's hope. Like, there's hope. Look at this person. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, I want you to win. I want something better for you.
For real. All right. Well, my gosh, you have an extremely inspiring story. I honestly, like I was telling you a little bit earlier, I just like seen a couple of little things about you and I was just like, oh, wow, okay, like let me tap in here and check her out and see what's going on, because you definitely have an inspiring story. And it's great to see your vibrant, the light, shining from you. I love to see that. So it's beautiful to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, so talk to us about where we can find you, how we can stay in touch with you, and plug yourself.
All right, the plug. My Instagram is at thebeauty.forashes. And my website is www.thankfully.com. So it's thankful, THANKFUL, and then my last name, Lee, LEE.com.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thankfully.com.
So if you want to email me, all of that information is on the website as well.
All right. And so do you have anybody you want to say what's up to? Any shout outs?
Just listen, all of the people who've experienced trauma, you have yourself a fabulous week. Do you hear me? Find a way to laugh. Find a way to have a good belly laugh. And I want to say a special shout out to those people who have been down in the dump. You can get up. There is light after the darkness. So I want to give a shout out to those people and the supporters. I'm talking the people who haven't changed, who stuck by those people who have experienced some rough and ugly things. Kudos to you, because it's not easy. And don't change and continue to be a selfless supporter.
Mm-hmm. All right. And of course, before I let you go, I have to ask if you have like a motivational or inspirational quote or some word that you kind of use to, get you by on a daily that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah. Fear not, for I am with you. Neither be thou dismayed, for I am your God. Because there's some scary times and I have to remember my God is with me. So that's what keeps me going.
All right.
And I honestly, what I just said about the belly laugh, that's my own thing. I have no reason to come on your show and tell you anything different. I need a good belly laugh. So when I wake up in the morning, I check off in my vision book. I have a vision book. Did I belly laugh today?
Oh my gosh, don't kill me. I got to start writing that one down. Belly laugh.
You have to. And I'm not like, I mean, a good belly laugh. A good one.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. We appreciate you. Thank you. And I just want to encourage you to keep going because you definitely are a great inspiration and we're here for it. We're here for supporting you.
Thank you so much. I honestly had the greatest time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys heard it here. So if you guys are interested in learning some more about Alexis Lee, definitely want to check out her website, grab a copy of her book, support her. And she gave us so many different keys today to, just supporting each other, supporting those that have been through trauma, because we actually supporting everybody because everybody has been through some sort of traumatic experience in their life, right? Some are more grandiose than others, but it's all important to make sure that we are supporting each other through the journey of life because, it's extremely important. And as we can see, she's graced us with her presence today by the grace of God. But life is tender. It is, tomorrow is not promised, and we don't know what's happening. So we really gotta support each other. All right, guys. So make sure you guys hit up thebeauty.forashes on Instagram, or it was thankfully.com, right?
Yeah. So 2 L's, 2 E's.
2 L's and 2 E's. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I will see you next week. Same time, same place. All right. Take care.